I came to St. John's 10 years ago when I was only 4 years old, and walking into school, I was a pretty independent and outgoing child, so walking into school wasn't too hard for me. One of my earliest memories at school is when I was in pre-K, it's on one of the first days, and we had to put a picture of ourselves up on the board. When it was my turn to go up and put my picture up, the teacher told me just to hold my picture up so she could staple it, and I got so scared that I made my mom do it just in case if my finger got stapled to the board, I wouldn't do it. My 5 truths of St. John's is ask your teachers for help, you can always count on your friends, do your best, be prepared, and take challenges. My first truth is ask your teachers for help. This one was pretty hard for me. At the beginning of 6th grade, I wouldn't ask anybody for help because I thought I could do everything on my own, and I just didn't. I feared being turned down by my teachers. But then I quickly realized that the teachers are always there for you, and they want to help you, and they're very understanding that you don't understand everything. So they're always there for you, and they do really truly understand that you don't get everything. The second truth is you can always count on your friends. I have been so lucky to have such a great group of friends in my 10 years at St. John's. My friends are always there for me and they support me in everything I do. They're always there to help me with my problems, and if I have any tough situations that I need help deciding things, they're always there for me. And everybody should always have a great group of friends to turn to just in case if anything goes wrong, but also having a good group of friends is always really nice. They're always there for you. My third truth is do your best. This is kind of a basic one, but it's necessary to say. Teachers remind you constantly to do your best at school and that everybody makes mistakes. The teachers here encourage you to work and put all your effort into all your work. And doing your best now can really help you in high school, can help you know that you have to do all your work and you have to get through everything. My fourth truth is always be prepared. I am definitely not a very prepared person. There's some times where I just don't have homework or I don't have a certain book I need for class. So really knowing to remember my homework, and even if there was a day that we had church or something and we had a possibility of missing class, that the thought of knowing that I have my homework, it's just really a lot less stressful. And my fifth and final truth is to take challenges. I am definitely a very not confident person, so taking challenges is a very, very hard thing for me. So going out of my comfort zone is very hard. To take challenges, you really have to be confident in yourself, and once you do that, the challenge that you take may not be as hard the next time. In conclusion, going to St. John's has taught me a lot, and I'm glad that I've learned so many things. The 5 truths I learned are ask your teachers for help, you can always count on your friends, do your best, be prepared, and take challenges. And I'm hoping to take these 5 truths on with me this high school.
When I was younger, I never really liked going to school, which most people can probably relate to. But as I got into middle school, I started to like it more because I realized the work we had to do was so much easier than what my younger self thought it was. And I started to have fun at school because my friends were by my side and I could always laugh with them. My first truth is mistakes are learning experiences. I've always struggled with the thought of getting the answer wrong in class, and that's something that has been going on for a while. In class, when we have to go around the room to answer questions, I'd always count how many people there were before me and then practice a sentence over and over in my head. I would somehow always mess it up, but it would be the downfall of the day. But the teachers there always tell me that mistakes are learning experiences and mistakes are okay and they help you. So mistakes show that you want to learn the material and you're trying to get the right answer. Asking for extra help is not a sign of weakness. Another thing I've always struggled with is raising my hand in class and asking for extra help. I always thought the teachers would decline my requests and I would just end up failing the class. But little did I know, the teachers love when you ask questions and they love when you go in for extra help because it shows that you care about your grades and how you do in school. Everyone learns differently and it may take longer for some people to understand the material, so never judge someone for getting extra help. there's always solutions for your problems. In high school, it's something we're all scared about and something completely new to us than middle school, and it's definitely way more independent than middle school. Some of our teachers are starting to teach us things like that, such as Mrs. Bowers. She always teaches us that there's always solutions for our problems. She makes us think outside the box to get our answer, and when we do, it's always good. Competition can be healthy. In first grade, we were taught how to read, and it took me many books and long hours of tutoring to get the reading thing down. And in second grade, Mrs. Kelly had a little competition where we'd have a board and had everyone's name on it. Next to everyone's name, you get a star for how many books you read completely. And I still didn't like reading at the time, and I was still struggling, so I didn't have that many stars at the beginning of the year. But there was this one kid in my class who read nonstop. He read during lunch, during recess, basically during any time he could, and he still does. Even though I was so jealous of how fast he could read and how many stars he had next to his name, it pushed me to read more and to be a better reader than what I already was. And this shows how competition can be healthy and can benefit you in the right ways. Effort shows you care. This one is really important to me because when I was younger, I never put any effort in my work, and it definitely showed. I would always get yelled at for how bad my grades were, and I would get really bad grades in my effort next to that subject. But now I'm all about putting in the effort, and I realize that if you don't try, then why even go to school? One year, I got a really bad grade in my effort in one of my classes, and I studied a whole lot for those tests, and I got yelled at. But I knew I studied, and I knew I tried my hardest, so I still had a good output on the class. And studies show that more than 27% of students dropped out of high school because of failing classes. And I think why they're failing classes is because they've tried so hard already for that class, but they still just can't get it down, and that's why they're failing the classes, because they just give up. Going to St. John's School for 10 years in a row really makes you want to leave faster, and it may sound like a bad thing, but at the beginning of this year, I wanted to leave. But now that we're about 2 weeks away from graduation, I really wish we were back in September. Graduating really makes you want to savor the moments between your friends and your community, and that's probably the most important thing I've learned from St. John's. Savor the moment before it's too late, and slow down and enjoy every day. Life goes by way too fast.
I'm fine.
Hi, my name is Luke Shacken. I've been going to St. John's School since kindergarten. During my time here, I've learned many important lessons from going here. My first truth is failure is not a bad thing. Failure allows us to learn and grow from past mistakes and improve. They teach us what to do and what not to do. In 5th grade, I failed a science test. I was devastated. It taught me that you need to work hard and improve yourself to do better in school and academics. It's also a good life lesson in sports. If you do not do well, work to improve yourself. Another truth is preparation is key. Preparation allows you to be confident in what you are doing or what you're about to do. By failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. In school, you learn very quickly. If you're not prepared for classes, it's not going to go very well. If you forget books or textbooks, you can get a bad grade because you're not prepared for class. Change is a good thing. It's another truth. Change allows us to experience new things and grow as human beings. We should embrace change, not fight it. It's a lot easier to go with the flow than fight against it. In school, when you change from 5th grade in elementary school to middle school, it's a big change. You have to learn to work harder, to study, and change from class to class. It's a big change that it's important to go through to prepare yourself for high school and the future. Another truth is hard work pays off. If we work hard enough for anything, we can most likely achieve it. In school, you're taught quickly, if you're not working hard, then what are you doing? You need to work hard for your grades, you need to work hard for academics. It doesn't matter what you're doing, if you work hard enough, you can most likely achieve it. And my 5th truth is admit when you were wrong. It is harder to admit we are wrong than deny it. Pride can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing if we don't learn to let it go in certain times. I personally struggle with this in math. I would rather admit that I would rather deny that I was ever wrong or that I made a mistake, and it's something that I need to work on in particular, and that we all need to work on. It's you need to be able to admit when you were wrong or when you made a mistake. And so in conclusion, my 5 lessons learned at St. John's are: failure is not a bad thing, preparation is key, and change is good. Hard work pays off, and admit it when you were wrong. Thank you.
And these are the 5 truths I've learned at St. John's Elementary School. I've been going to St. John's now for almost 9 years, and as my time here comes to an end, I've taken the time to think about all the amazing truths that I've learned here. My first truth that I learned here is work hard for what you want. Studying, I can't explain to you how important this truth is. Studying or preparing for a test automatically improves your grade. Working hard also does pay off in the long run. If you do well during the term, you may make it onto the honor. In one article I read, it said, quote, high school students who are responsible and have a solid reading and writing skills may be more likely to succeed in college and go on to snag a high-paying, prestigious job than their classmates who slack off. I personally in one of my classes, I wasn't doing so well, and the end of the term was coming to an end. And the term was coming to an end. I took action and studied hard for a test that was coming up. I actually ended up getting an A on that test, which made me so happy, and my grade went up as well. Working hard for what you want pays off in the end. My second truth about St. John's School is have close friends. Having close friends can help you get through hard times. They support you emotionally and want the best for you. They also can help you study for tests or help you understand a difficult math problem. Researchers even say, quote, when surrounded by friends with a higher grade point average, teens have a tendency to perform better and boost their own GPA during the school year. I have personally experienced what close friends have done to me. Whenever I get a bad grade or just having a horrible day, my friends always make sure that I'm okay and help boost my attitude. My third truth about St. John's School is get a good night's sleep. I've also personally experienced this. I've learned that it's very important to get a good night's sleep in order to make it through the school day. Your class participation, test scores, and classwork grades can be affected by lack of sleep. Researchers say that, quote, students need to get at least 8 hours of sleep in order to be at the highest level of productivity in high school, and that many, quote, students do not get the right amount of sleep every night that they need, which causes them to lack in certain areas at school. One time in one of my classes, I didn't get enough sleep at night, and I ended up messing up on one of my tests. I ended up circling the right answer / letter, but then put the wrong letter on the blank line. It prevented me from getting a really good grade, which really made me mad. So getting a good night's sleep is really important. My fourth truth that I learned at St. John's School is try not to procrastinate. Procrastinating will not help you at all. If you know an assignment's due in a week or a few days, it's best to start working on it a little bit at a time on different days. It will help decrease your homework load and will help you feel less stressed. An article on why students procrastinate says that, quote, students often procrastinate because they don't see how a project is relevant or important to them, don't understand the material, or just don't know how to get started. Whenever I don't know how to get started on my assignments, I procrastinate, and it becomes really stressful for me because I end up doing the homework or writing the essay the day before it's due. My last truth that I learned at St. John's School is honesty / integrity is very important. An article about the importance of academic integrity says that, quote, studies have found that people who engage in academically dishonest practices in school are significantly more likely to be dishonest, cheat, or even commit crimes like fraud or stealing in the workplace. I've learned throughout my years here that being truthful is very important. Admit to when you don't know something and go to the proper channels like your teachers to help find help. Being truthful will help you give you a guilt-free conscience and help you have a less stressful life.
Very good, honey.
My name is Matthew Hart, and I've learned 5 truths at St. John's School in the past 3 short years I've been here. My 5 truths are growth mindset, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. Surround yourself with who you want to be. You can move mountains, and every day is what you make it, so make that a great day. So a truth can be told in one word or many words. The word yet comes from the phrase growth mindset. Growth mindset separates where you are and where you want to be. Instead of focusing on what you cannot do, focus on what you cannot do yet. My second quote is, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. As a young child, we were taught to respect others and love yourselves. There's a fine line between being important and being important to someone special. Surround yourself with who you want to be. I've been told by many people to find a group of friends that can set me up for success. A group of friends that can help me make good decisions and help me achieve my goals. Hanging out with the right friends can give you the self-confidence and help you make good decisions in life. My 4th quote is, you can move mountains. Dr. Flieger does a great job at emphasizing this truth. He is a good example of someone who can move mountains. Every Monday, he gives us energy and confidence to move mountains and to boost our self-confidence throughout the rest of that week. With God having our backs and family members to support us, we can push our limits and be able to move the mountains. My next quote comes from my inspirational mother in 1st grade, Mrs. Hart. Every day is what you make it, so make it a great day. She says this every single day with her 1st grade students, and she makes their days every single day, and I'm willing to do the same. Making one day a great day can lead every other day to be an even better day. In conclusion, St. John the Evangelist School will help me in and out of school to make good decisions in life. Thank you.
What do you believe to be true? We all believe in many different truths, like what a religion is and who will win the next game. But today I'll be talking about 5 truths that I learned here at SJS. My 5 truths are, put in the effort, you have to fail to succeed, have a growth mindset, friends are important, and it's okay to ask questions. Put in the effort. When I was younger, I thought I would fly by with just putting in no effort. For an example, in 2nd grade, I thought for spelling tests, I just had to remember the words and that'd be it. But when I came up here to middle school, I learned otherwise. I learned how to put in the effort, how to study, and work hard. Eventually, I saw an increase in my work ethic and my schoolwork, and the overall outlook of school. You have to fail to succeed. Personally, I think if you have never failed, you have never felt the drive to do better. When I fail in extracurricular activities or schoolwork, it encourages me to do better and to study harder or get that next touchdown next time. Growth mindset. In my opinion, failure is a part of growth mindset. I was introduced to growth mindset in 7th grade.
Sorry, that's me.
I was introduced to growth mindset in 7th grade. Growth mindset answers the question, have not yet. I have not yet scored the touchdown, or I have not aced that test yet. Research shows students who have a growth mindset are more successful in class than students who have a fixed mindset. Friends are important. I've learned that friends are important because they are the people who want to see you succeed and will be there to help you succeed. In kindergarten, I was so scared of coming to school because I thought I have no friends. But I was so relieved when I saw friends from around the pool, who I've seen around the pool and around town. They eventually introduced me to their friends, and now I have some long-lasting friendships. The next truth is it's okay to ask questions. When I first started middle school, I was horrified of asking questions because I was scared of my new environment and the many teachers that I'd have. Eventually, I became more comfortable and started asking more questions, which I saw improvements in my grade. I'll now leave this off with a question. What 5 truths would you recommend to new students coming here to SJS or even new middle schoolers?
Hi, my name is Amanda Pfizer, and these are the 5 truths that I learned from going to St. John the Evangelist School. I started St. John's September 2nd, 2009. I was in the first full-day pre-K class offered at St. John's. Mrs. Annette Kelly was my teacher. I've had many amazing experiences throughout my time at St. John's. Some special moments are traveling flat Stanley, making dioramas and trioramas, memorizing 100 poems, giving the weather forecast, the Polar Express, receiving First Holy Communion, becoming an altar server, getting to know the teachers in aftercare, and so many more. My 5 truths are faith, academics, community, friends, and some frequently used quotes. Faith. Sister Frances Marilyn was my religion teacher in elementary school. She would always be the person I could relate to with faith-filled things. When she retired, she let us keep a couple of her religious items. She gave me Mother Teresa's rosary beads and a picture of Mary. Academics. The academics at St. John's are great. The teachers will help you and sometimes give you extra time to complete your work because they want you to succeed. Community. When I was in 4th grade, my dad passed away and I was devastated. I remember my mom asked me if I wanted to go to school or not. I told her yes, I wanted to go to school. Everyone was so kind and understanding. My whole class wrote me cards to make me feel better, and my friends helped me through this very difficult time. Friends. Friends are the people you love and trust. They are always there for you through thick and thin and always have your back. My friends are some of the best people I know. They are so much fun to be around. We laugh and laugh until our faces are bright red. I hope we stay friends for a very long time. There have been many quotes that have stuck with me throughout my time here. When I was in kindergarten and someone wanted to know what was going on, Mrs. Miller would always say, MYOB, meaning mind your own beeswax. She always tried to keep whatever was happening in between her and the person involved. Whenever she'd come back from lunch, she'd say, I'm back. She'd also say, you get what you get and you don't get upset. This means that you get what you're given and you don't get upset if it's not exactly what you wanted. Think before you do is another quote. You should always think before you do or say something. This way you don't have any regrets. Mrs. Kelly would always say, treat people the way you want to be treated. In other words, be kind to each other and treat each other with respect. On my first day of 6th grade, one special teacher said, if you fail to read the directions, you can fail your test. Mrs. Billingsley wasn't just talking about actual tests, but in real life too. As you can see, St. John's has had a huge impact on me. I'm so grateful that my mom was able to send me here. I'm going to miss it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Benedict Joseph, and I'll be presenting the 5 truths about St. John's School. The 5 truths about St. John's School that I learned is growth mindset, don't procrastinate, mindfulness, keep self-integrity, and strive for excellence. The truth that I learned at St. John's School is the idea of growth mindset. People with growth mindsets are more willing to change even after failure. This sets them apart from people with fixed mindsets who are fixed on the now, not what could be or the yet. According to Carol Dweck, a Lewis and Virginia Eaton professor at psychology at Stanford University who advanced in growth mindset research, teaching growth mindset to middle schoolers resulted in higher motivation and greater academic achievement. She found out that students who were taught a growth mindset excelled above the students who received excellent training and study skills. When When I moved up from elementary school to middle school, it was like a big leap for me. When I got bad grades, I would think that I was just bad at the assignment and I would block any room to change. But when I was introduced to growth mindset in 7th grade, I realized that failure is just a period of time and it doesn't mark the end of something. At my time here, I learned that procrastinating on assignments is an overall negative behavior that lowers morale and work effort. Not only does procrastination raise stress and anxiety levels, but it also costs hundreds of dollars being lost. A survey conducted by HR Block found that people lose hundreds of dollars by rushing to prepare income taxes. One time I stressed and sulked about doing an essay rather than doing it. So at the last minute I did it and I felt terrible. The next time I did the essay, I tried to plan it out through the week and it was much better and the stress about doing it slowly diminished throughout the week. Mindfulness. Mindfulness is a way to combat stress and anxiety. It can be as easy as breathing for a few seconds. Deep breaths send oxygen to the brain, soothing the amygdala in the brain. The amygdala controls emotions and choices. It is the brain's alarm system. When the brain is confronted with tough situations, the amygdala responds to the natural fight, flight, or freeze mode. Confusion, anger, or stress can block the brain's ability to think clearly. Focused breathing allows us to focus only on breathing. This blocks the feelings of confusion, anger, and stress and calms us down. Keep self-integrity and self-dignity. Self-integrity and self-dignity is important for anyone's well-being. It dictates what choices we make. One's self-integrity and self-dignity determines what impact or legacy you leave at the school, either positive or negative. You have to have respect yourself to respect other people. The way you treat yourself dictates the way you treat others. The last truth that I learned at St. John's School was to strive for excellence. Striving for excellence is always striving to reach a higher goal. Dr. Flieger would usually say, we can move mountains, which means if we try hard enough, we can do things that are deemed impossible. Striving for excellence requires to get you out of your comfort zone. You can only strive for excellence if you get out of your comfort zone. In conclusion, these are the truths that I learned at St. John's School, and I'll definitely take these with me to high school.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jackie Wells, and my journey here at St. John's all began when I was only 2 years old. It was my older brother Justin's first day of pre-K, and of course the entire Wells family wanted to come inside to drop him off. He was nervous, and he wouldn't let go of my mom and dad's hands as we walked into the school. So as we approached the classroom door, he just decided he was not having it, and he just made a break for it. So my mom and dad ran and chased him down the hall, and they had to drag him back, and they tried to convince him that he was going to be fine, and that school was not a punishment. Meanwhile, as this whole scene is happening, I was left completely unaccounted for it. And when my parents finally realized I had been around for the past 5 minutes, they started to panic. Then they simply looked into the pre-K classroom and saw me sitting on the carpet with Justin's new class. May I add that I was only 2 years old, and I was only 2 years old, and I was having a good time with Justin's new class and being accepted into the community. St. John is a very welcoming and loving community where everybody's accepted. We are all one big family. My 5 truths of St. John's are: don't be afraid to ask for help, work hard and you'll succeed, don't wish your time away, get involved, and you will make friends you won't forget. My first truth is don't wish your time away. My time here has flown by so fast, and I can't even tell you how fast it will go by for you. Your years here are more valuable than you realize until you're about to leave. According to Scientific American, as we get older, time seems to go by faster because we gather more memories and experiences. Our lives seem to move quicker in a way. Although my time here at St. John's is coming to a close, I'm not wishing away my last few weeks. My second truth is to work hard, which will help you succeed. Don't procrastinate, because sometimes it can be hard to stay determined and focus on your schoolwork. You should be persistent and strive to do better and stay determined. I can say that it is very rewarding and satisfying to study really hard for a test or put your best effort to a project and then get a good grade back. St. John's has taught me that your hard work and effort really do pay off in the long run. My third truth is do not be afraid to ask questions. Your teachers are here for you and they aren't just here to give you homework. They want to help you strive to be better and succeed in your classwork. A study done by the Night Crier shows us that students raising their hands and participating in class leads to increased engagement and better grades. Who doesn't want a better grade? Also, it shows students that when they raise their hand and are incorrect, it is okay, and that is an important part of the learning process. Even Albert Einstein asks questions, so you should too. My fourth truth is to get involved. A study from the Expanding Mind shows that kids who are involved in after-school programs and activities, they excel in academics. They're a good way to decompress and relax after a long, hard day of school, and they're really fun too. My fifth and final truth is that friends are forever. It is important to build relationships that will last and will hopefully continue to last for a very long time. I've been going to St. John's for 10 years and I've done just that. Friends are very important, and it's good to have a supportive group of friends behind you that want to help you succeed. A study done by Psych Central shows that 40% of people are shy in awkward situations or things that they aren't comfortable with. It is okay to be shy, and at St. John's it is very easy to make friends and become a part of the community. All in all, St. John's is the only place I could imagine going to school. The amazing community, teachers, friends, and the fact that we're all one big family is what makes it so special. It truly is an amazing place, and you can take away so much from your experiences here. My 5 truths, which are don't waste your time away, work hard and you will succeed, don't be afraid to ask for help, get involved, and you will make friends that you won't forget, will always stick with me, and I hope to stick with you as well. So are you going to turn around and run out the front door like my brother Justin did on the first day of preschool, or are you going to go inside and sit with the new class?
Fox. I'm doing a TED Talk about the 5 most important truths that I've learned from attending at St. John's School. I've been at St. John's for 10 whole years and even longer because my older siblings went here. It's been a long journey and it's really been great for me. I've had a lot of fun while learning all these things. I've learned how to read and write, all the basic things from the beginning and all. My 5 truths are: 1, do not expect to instantly be good at something. 2, God is always with you through hard times and never turns his back on you. 3, do your work. 4, ask questions and don't be afraid to ask them. And 5, treat others as you want to be treated. My first one is do not expect to instantly be good at something, because this one really speaks to me in my life. When I was younger, I never really had to work hard to get good grades, and as I got through middle school, I've had to put in more effort and study and practice more for sports, and I couldn't just rely on straight up genetics. 2, God is always with you through hard times and never turns his back on you. Going to a Catholic school for 10 years, my relationship with God has really been strengthened, and I think this is one of the most important things to take away from it. That he's always with you, and when you're feeling down, that you always have a shoulder to cry on, and he's always on your side. 3, do your work and study. This one seems like it'd be implied, but you wouldn't imagine how difficult some people try to do it. But I think it's just important to make good habits for later years in school, high school, and if you start earlier, it'll really help you. And I wish I put more effort in when I was younger to build my habits for now and later on. Do not be afraid to ask questions. I think this is a big one because some people are scared of what their classmates will think, if they'll be laughed at. But for me personally, asking questions is one of the best ways I retain information. And it really clarifies any questions that I have, and it helps me understand the topic better. And my last one is treat others as you want to be treated. This one is really important because it shows that you are giving respect to the other person, and then in return they will respect you back. So it's just really important to make friends and have people like you better, and you feel better being nice and like not being like a jerk, and the other people will feel better because you're being nice to them. And I think it's just really important, and imagine if everyone lived like this, the world would be pretty happy. That's it.
I've been going to St. John's for 10 years, and here are 5 things that I've learned about going to St. John's School. My 5 truths are: get a good night's sleep, try your hardest, do your homework, don't be afraid to ask for help, and Jesus is always on your side. My first truth is get a good night's sleep. An average 14-year-old needs about 8 hours of sleep every night. And if you don't get that amount of sleep every night, you're going to be tired, you're not going to be able to pay attention during class, and you're going to be drowsy throughout the whole day. My next truth is try your hardest. Hard work pays off in grades, extra sports outside of school, and basically everything. And if you try your hardest from a young age, it builds a good work ethic, and you're going to just get used to trying hardest your whole life. My next truth is do your homework. If you don't do your homework, it really hurts your grade. And when you don't do your homework, it piles on top of other homework that you have to do. My next truth is don't be afraid to ask for help. When you ask for help, teachers will always be there for you. And take advantage of extra help, because you can just go in early before school and you can get extra help. My next truth is Jesus is always on your side. If you're struggling at anything, you can always pray to Jesus and he'll make it better. Jesus will always listen to you and never turn his back on you. Those are my 5 truths about St. John's School.
When I first came to SJS, I was extremely nervous. Coming from Dexter, I spent 5 years there and already had a core relationship with my friends, and starting over was pretty frightening. But I can vividly remember going into Mrs. McKay's homeroom class and sitting down at my desk and having Jackie come up to me and give me a handshake and introducing herself. And right from then, I knew that I would fit in and be comfortable and be able to grow as a person for high school. And these are my 5 truths. The first truth is the importance of honor. Coming from a military family background, I know how important honor is, but didn't take it as seriously in 6th grade. I lied, I cheated on tests, and not too many. I didn't exactly respect my work as much as I should have. And through lessons with teachers and my parents, I learned how to respect other people's work and work hard and take my own tests. Second truth is the importance of time management. I played 2 sports year round, and fooling around when I get home or watching TV, I just don't have the time for it. So when I get home now, I start getting on my work right away, and usually I'll be done by the time 6 or 7 before my sports start. Third truth, the importance of finding different ways to study. I know when I came in 6th grade, I didn't really have a way to study. I would usually just go back through the textbook and just read verbatim. But now I learned that usually if I do it, kinesthetic, if I go through it and I do the process, it just helps me and it just makes the process easier. Exactly like sports, when I do the drill, go through it first time, I usually get it every single time, and it just helps me out because it just helps me. It's like second nature to me at that point. Fourth truth, the importance of having a growth mindset. I know last year when I would get a bad grade on my math test and always see kids get the right answer during class, I'd get discouraged and put my head down on my desk and just wouldn't try. When I'd get home as well, my parents would give me a greeting, and then at 5, when those grades came out, my parents weren't exactly thrilled. And I remember just hiding in my room trying not to be seen, but of course they always came up to my room, gave me a nice talking to, and then usually I would just get discouraged, and it would just be a vicious cycle. I'd get discouraged, get bad grades, get discouraged, get bad grades. But then I learned about the growth mindset, and if I get a bad grade, I'd say, what did I do wrong? What can I do? I'd go to my teachers, I'd look through what I did wrong, go back and fix it.
The 5 truths of the importance of taking in the final weeks of 8th grade. I know at the beginning of September, I wanted this year to go by quickly. With all the essays at the beginning of high school, and as well as like finals last week. But now that since we're in the final weeks, I'm kind of like gonna miss you guys. I know a couple of my friends, we're all going off to different schools, and most likely probably won't see each other again. Maybe besides maybe some sports or something like that. But I don't know. I'm just gonna miss you guys. All right.
I like a certain quote by the author Terry Pratchett. Why do you go away? So that you can come back. So that you can see the place you came from with new eyes and extra colors. And the people there see you differently too. Coming back to where you started is not the same as never leaving. Now, you might be wondering, why is this important? It is important because it talks about change. Change is the act or instance of making or becoming different. Without change, we would live the most tedious and mundane lives imaginable. Middle school is all about change. Changes physically, mentally, emotionally, and for some people, spiritually. Through the changes middle school brings, we learn more about ourselves, others, and life in general. The first truth I learned at St. John's is that time management is a key factor to doing well in school. When a rather large and important exam is in the near future, I've learned that you cannot procrastinate for days, continually saying, "I'll study tomorrow." Does that phrase sound familiar to you? I used to tell myself this every day until the night before the test, where I would often find myself cramming. Several studies show that college students who procrastinated had a lower GPA in the latter half of the semester compared to non-procrastinators. They were also more likely to get sick based on healthcare visits. Procrastination will never help you in the long run, while good study skills will help you throughout your entire life. The second truth I learned is that positivity will make all the difference. A few weeks ago, I decided to try something new. I thought, hey, if I can start being more positive, maybe I won't be constantly worried and stressed about what's going on in my life. When I did this, I felt way more relaxed and in control of what was going on in my life. I also felt more motivated, which resulted in more free time out of school because I got my work done faster. In one study done by the University of Toronto, scientists proved that when in a positive mood, the visual cortex absorbs more information. In contrast, negative moods result in tunnel vision, or the inability to see the full picture. Positivity has made me a happier person and able to see the bright side of any situation. The third truth I've learned is that a grade is just a number. Lots of people, including myself, believe that a grade is the end of the world if you don't get the grade you wanted. Yes, it reflects how much you know, but it isn't the end of the world. Because for me, a grade is a notification of what I need to work on and what I need more understanding in. Researcher Angela Lee Duckworth's studies show that the benefit in failure itself comes when people become more motivated and determined to succeed. If we can look past the grade's number to its purpose and meaning, we can do so much better academically. The fourth truth I've learned at St. John's is that stress will never help you. When your body is stressed, it is preparing for danger. This was useful when we were not at the top of the food chain, as it helped us survive as a species. But in today's world, stress can weaken the immune system, cause high blood pressure, fatigue, depression, anxiety, and heart disease. When I am stressed, I always make sure to take a step back and take a breath and tell myself that it will be okay, and that what I'm stressed about, I will probably not be stressed about in a few minutes, a week, a month, or even a year. The fifth truth I learned at St. John's is to ask questions. We should never be afraid to ask questions, because asking questions can only benefit us and never affect us in a negative way. When we ask questions, we are more likely to retain information because we participate in what we are learning. Whether it is personal or school-related, asking questions will always help us. School is for learning and not being confused about what you are learning. As the CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt, said, "This company is run off of questions, not answers." I learned that I shouldn't be afraid to ask questions because I want to learn and I want to succeed, not just sit in the back of the class being confused, because that will never help me. My time at St. John's, I can definitely say, has not been the easiest years of my life, but have probably been the most influential on myself and others around me. Thank you for listening.
I've been going to St. John's since first grade, and the first day I walked into the first grade classroom, I knew I was at home here because I already had friends who I knew at this school. And throughout the years, I've made even more friends, and I've learned many different truths, and these are the 5 most important truths I've learned at St. John's School. My 5 truths are: failure always brings more opportunity to succeed. Mistakes don't define who you are. What you do after those mistakes to fix them does. Don't be afraid to try. Your friends always have your back, and God is with you no matter what. My first truth: failure always brings more opportunities to succeed. First month at middle school, 6th grade, I remember I took my first science test of the semester and I got like a 60 on it. I bombed it, and I was really sad. I was like heartbroken because I thought I was going to get straight A's all throughout middle school because that's the student I had been beforehand. But I realized from failing that science test that I needed a new work ethic, I needed new ways of studying, and I needed to try way harder in middle school. So failure teaches you more than success ever could. And you should also know that everyone fails at some point. It's not wrong to fail. It's better to fail than to succeed. And you shouldn't just avoid something just because you're afraid of failing. My second truth: mistakes don't define who you are. What you do after those mistakes to fix them does. So everyone makes mistakes. We all know this. I make mistakes. You guys make mistakes. Teachers make mistakes. Everyone does. And I've learned that if you dwell on one mistake, you will most likely make more mistakes in the future, and that's a very bad thing. So you should realize that you made a mistake, fix that mistake, say sorry, and then move on. That's the best thing to do. My third truth: don't be afraid to try. So I love this quote by Babe Ruth: never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. It doesn't just relate to baseball, it can relate to all aspects of life. Like, never let the fear of doing something keep you from trying it. So it's better to try and fail than to not try at all. Because if you're afraid to try, why not do it? Because who cares if you fail, right? And if you try your best, promise me you will be happy with the results even if you fail. Because you'll be happy that you put yourself out there and tried. My fourth truth: your friends always have your back. So I've made many friends at middle school, in the school and out of the school. And whenever I'm having hard times, I know I can count on my friends to bring me up and to cheer me up. And even if I'm having a really tough time, I can talk to my friend and they'll always be there for me. They'll be listening to me, and that's why you need such good friends, because they're important in your middle school days. And I hope that I'll remember all you guys after middle school, throughout high school. Hope you can stay in contact. My fifth slide, and my most important truth, I believe, is that God is always with you no matter what happens. So when you're having a bad day, you can always rely on God. He always listens to you, and He always understands what you're going through no matter what happens. And since I've been going to a Catholic school for 8 years, I really know what it's like to have a good relationship with God. And I'm going to a Catholic high school too, so that's even better. So I'll have 4 more years of a lot of Catholicism, and I hope that after high school I can continue relying on God when I'm having a bad time. In conclusion, I've learned a lot throughout my middle school years at St. John's School, and these 5 truths, I hope I can carry them with me throughout high school and throughout the rest of my life. Thank you.
Hi, I have a question for you. Are we too young to have learned any true life lessons? Are teens able to analyze what's going on around them and turn them into lessons they can carry for an entire lifetime? Well, as someone who's reaching the end of her middle school experience, I feel as if I can confidently say that I've learned a few points that I do really want to hold on to. This is because I believe in experiences. I believe experiences can teach you multiple things, no matter how short or how long they were. I've been at St. John's for 8 years. Here are my truths I've learned from St. John's. Number 1, what do you want to be when you grow up? I've learned from the experience of being in a classroom that a being in a group of young minds can really motivate you. Especially during this time in St. John's, we're all trying to plan our futures really, and I take it for granted a lot, but like being with you guys is really special, and I should savor it because we're all trying to plan. We're choosing different courses, making bigger decisions, and just building who we want to be. And being surrounded by all that, it's really hard not to think, like, what do I want to do? It makes me question what I'm interested in. Number 2, community is important to me. I've learned from the experience of being in a small school that I really value community. I went to our high schools this year, and at the end of this whole experience, I had to choose between 2 high schools. And though they were both really welcoming, I kept on going back to the aspect of community. Fonfon had I kept on remembering at Fonfon in the lunchroom, they were all laughing, they were all talking, and they were loud in like a really good way. And it reminded me a lot of lunch here. I think St. John's really prides itself in its tight community. This is a place where everyone will know your name. So from the St. John experience, I've learned that I really value community in the school atmosphere. Number 3, you just need a little push. Small changes are enough. So I've learned from the experience of making small changes that just a little push can really make the difference. And when I say little, I really mean little. So I do things like listening to new music or adding a new activity or adding something to my everyday life. And it can make a difference. At St. John's, I do little things, and by little, I really mean little. So I'll go home and I'll say, I don't think I have homework today, and I don't have to open my Chromebook or look at Renweb. And then I say, you might want to rethink that. And I open the Chromebook and I check Renweb. And these small changes can make really big impact. I found this website, The Odyssey, and it said that pushing yourself encourages personal growth. Number 4, I've learned from the experience of being in a Catholic school that I should carry faith with me throughout all my life. Faith is going to be your best friend through school and life in general. So I remember in 5th grade, we were about to take a test, and I had this little paper from one of my teachers, and it was a prayer that I should say before I took the test. And so I took it out and I was reading through it and I was praying it, and the person next to me said, hey, can I use that? And so they prayed it as well, and pretty soon the whole entire row had prayed this prayer. Before the test, of course. So I think that we at St. John's, we have been taught to trust our faith, and I hope I can always trust it. I think that I can trust my faith to make proper decisions as I get older. And lastly, number 5, take one day at a time. I've learned from the experience of listening to advice that it's really important to just take it one day at a time. So I can get caught up in my head a bit, and I can go ahead of myself, and I'll be thinking, what am I going to do next week? What's next week's schedule? When I'm not even doing anything about this week's schedule. So it can get in the way of me getting things done. And I've had parents, teachers, and even friends tell me, just take one day at a time. To me, this means to focus on today. And you can plan for the future, you can plan for what's coming next, but work on today. These are my 5 truths and life lessons, and I hope to take them to high school with me. Thank you.
My 3 years at St. John's School have been a roller coaster. I've been in the Catholic school at 7 years. The first Catholic school I went to was St. John's Paul II Catholic Academy in Dorchester, and it wasn't really a bad school, but some of the students there, they weren't all that nice. And so when I first found out about the school, St. John the Evangelist School in 5th grade, I became interested in it. But when I first got here, I was scared and I felt like I wanted to go back to my old school. But then time after time, I got to know everybody a little better, and so I made the bestest friends I've ever had. And I know you use bestest wrong, but you get my sense of humor, right? So here's what I found out about the school. It's a safe and loving, caring community built on God. Of course it's built on God, it's a Catholic school. and everybody will care for you and they always help one another. It's a place where we can follow Jesus and strive for excellence. We make mistakes almost every single day. I personally make mistakes almost every single day, and we can become better people by learning from our mistakes. And everyone will love you for who you are. At my old school, I was judged for who I was. I've been called a crybaby. Yeah, that. And so here are my 5 truths. Time actually flies by really fast. Nobody's perfect, of course not. Common sense is necessary. You should stand up for what you believe in. And friends are always the best thing. My first truth is, don't wish time away. Don't do it. Don't wish time away. When we have too much fun, we forget how much time has passed. When time is up, the fun is over. During your time at SJS, have fun with it. Live life a little. Your experience might be good or bad. It depends. However, there's still so much fun stuff for you to do. I mean, nobody wants to miss out on anything fun. I mean, am I right? I mean, accidents will happen. Everybody will make mistakes. What? Did you expect this was a perfect school? It's not! But that's just who we are. There is no perfect person, and there is no perfect world. God created us for a reason, so we can live our lives and learn from our mistakes. Like I said before, I make a lot of mistakes. Every day, 24/7. I mean, whenever we make a mistake, some people will scold at us. Why did they scold at us? Because they care about us. They want us to be better people. Take my aunt, for instance. Whenever I don't follow a direction, she would always yell at me because she cares. She cares so much that she wants me to be a better person. And please don't keep making the same mistakes. It only becomes a habit, and it just becomes annoying. Also, say sorry after you make a mistake. It shows that what you did was wrong, and you know you'll try not to do it again. Also, use your common sense. At times we may do something that may be risky, or just wrong without using our conscience. And that action can lead to consequences. It could make you feel guilty, whether you're caught or not. And as teens, as teens, we are able to take risky actions without even thinking first. So we can learn from our experiences. After learning from our experiences, we'll try not to do it again if we did something wrong. So we should be able to think more carefully about our decisions and decide whether it is right or wrong. Stand up for what you believe in. You have to stand up for yourself, even when the going gets tough. When someone is getting bullied, step into the scene of the crime and tell them to stop, or at least tell the teacher what's going on. If you're being judged and somebody is just treating you that way, just walk away or tell them that that is who I am. You can't tell me to be another person that I'm not. And don't just stand around and do nothing. Take chances and fight for what you believe in. And friends are the best thing ever. It's always good to have friends. You know you can always count on them every day. I mean, you don't want to be alone, do you? Of course not. I mean, your friends will always have fun with you at any type of day. And I have 4 best friends, and they are my bestest friends ever. Again, I use bestest wrong, but just work with me here. I mean, look at those boys. They're all so happy. I mean, they care about one another. I mean, at times they fight, they might get into a disagreement, but at the end they'll always want to work it out. Alright, the biggest takeaway is, make the most out of your experience here. Live, learn, laugh, play, do all that kind of stuff. I mean, always stay true to yourself, every single day. Thank you, and God bless.
I've been going to St. John's since first grade. Now for some of you, that might be a little too much. For other people, that might be too little. But for me, I've been here for so long, and going here has been changing me so drastically. I've met some friends here, some foes, people I can trust, and as well as some truths I will be presenting today. The first truth I would like to mention is what's the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Now, growing up, I struggled with having a growth mindset a lot. I felt like getting a certain grade determined who I was as a person, and if I had anything below a 90, I would hate myself. I would think I was a failure. I thought that I wouldn't be able to improve on that. But as I entered middle school, I found something like this, where it focused on a growth mindset, and taking in this consideration that I can improve on something after. Even if I had a bad grade, I can still work on to improve on that. My grades have improved a lot actually from taking this in. The next truth I would like to mention is how I play my time wisely. Now, some of you might know that I am such a huge procrastinator. I usually wait to do my work at the last minute. Like I would do, if I had an assignment due on a certain day, I would set myself to do it on a certain time, and if it's like a minute after like 6 o'clock or something, I would just wait till like 7, and it would just keep on going on until it was like midnight and I'd be freaking out. So stuff I did to take in my time wisely, I started to limit my distractions. I closed my door, I turned off the TV, and I also gave myself breaks in between each assignment so I didn't feel overwhelmed. And because of this, my grade has also improved on this aspect. Another truth I would like to mention is how you should not be afraid to ask questions. A recent study done by faculty-focused higher ed teaching strategies from Magnum Publications showed that about 30% of students perceived a negative relationship between their own participation and learning. And I think because of that, they are afraid to raise their hand or answer questions in a class setting. Growing up, that was something hard for me to do. I felt like that I wasn't smart enough to be in a certain class. I would always wait for somebody else to put their hand up before I put my hand up. Especially in math, I would always wait to put my board up to see what the person next to me had to make sure we had the same answer. Things that helped, and I realized that my participation rate was going lower because of my anxiety. Ways that I brought my participation grade up was to answer questions, because in school you're supposed to learn and you learn from your mistakes, so who cares if you're wrong. Other ways to help your participation grade is to come in for extra help, even if you don't understand a certain thing in a subject, because teachers would always be happy to help you in the best way that you can. And always show your attention even when you're not being spoken to, because a teacher does not like a student who doesn't pay attention, who doesn't like being engaged, checking the time, or having class-side discussions with other people next to them, because it feels like they're talking to a brick wall when you're doing that, and that's so disrespectful. So you should always respect your teachers, and that will help your participation rate. You can fail a test without following directions. That doesn't always have to go hand in hand with test school grades. That could happen outside of school, like at jobs and such. Ways to help with this area, you shouldn't rush through anything, you shouldn't assume anything, you should always try to be prepared, and you should always make sure you know what you're doing before you start or continue doing something. The last one I would like to mention is that you should be confident. The Anxiety Disorders Association of America reports 1 in 8 children suffer from anxiety disorders. Without intervention, they are at risk for poor performance, diminished learning, and social or behavior problems in school. Growing up, that has also been something with me. I always felt like I shouldn't be in the spotlight, like there's nothing special about me. I would always put myself to the side, but like as I entered middle school, I decided that I was tired of it, and I stepped out of my comfort zone. And if you've ever seen the past me, she would never see where I would be right now. I mean, like, I got a lead role in drama productions at my school, I joined student council, and I tried sports plus many other things. And I wouldn't have known or done things if I haven't made the move for that. And that's something important to me. So in conclusion, I've learned these 5 truths at St. John's, and I will be so happy to bring them with me as I enter my new chapter in life, as I go in for high school, college, and after school. A little side note for this, everybody goes through hard days in middle school and high school and even in college. Some days you feel so unmotivated, like you can't even get out of bed, or you just feel so like the world's weighing you down. You're not alone. There's other people who always relate to you, and there's always people that you can talk to. And even if you can't talk to somebody, there's things like hotlines available if you can't talk to anybody. If you feel unmotivated, you should keep going. You should keep pushing, because that's what life's about. You should keep striving for something, even if you feel unmotivated. And I hope, thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
My name is James McGuire. Today I'm going to tell you the 5 truths I learned at St. John's School. Overall, my experience here has been amazing here. There's been many road bumps on the way, but overall it's been amazing. The first truth I learned is to try to have a growth mindset. A growth mindset is to believe if you fail, you can try again until you achieve what you want. In English class, I used to not be very good at editing paragraphs in 6th grade, but I tried hard, and after a couple of tests, I improved my grades drastically. My second truth is, if you need help, ask. If you're struggling with a specific topic in the class, email the teacher and ask to come into school early. They can explain the topic to you in more depth to you. Almost before every test, I come to Miss McKay's class before school so she can help me review for the test. Back in 7th grade, I received a poor grade on the test, so I emailed her and asked for help, and she was happy to help me. My third truth is you can fail a test by not following directions. You always have to read the directions before starting a test. This was prominently emphasized by my English teacher. Almost before every test, she would say, read the directions carefully. This is a very important life lesson that will bring me and other people in my class far in high school and throughout our lives. My fourth truth is time management. I learned to use my time wisely, not take advantage of the amount of time I have. An example is the science fair. I used my time wisely this year and received a good grade on the science fair. Back in 6th grade, I procrastinated, so I kind of waited to the last minute to do it, and I did not receive a very good grade on the science fair. My fifth truth is hard work pays off. If you work hard at something, you can always improve. This lesson ties into the growth and fixed mindset, because in a growth mindset, if you work hard, you can always improve. In conclusion, my time here at St. John's was amazing. It will always have a special place in my heart. I'll never forget it. My five truths / life lessons are: have a growth mindset. If you need help, ask. You can fail a test by not following directions. Time management and hard work pays off.
When I first found out I was going to come to St. John's, I was not happy, because I knew I would have to leave all my old school friends and then come here with a bunch of strangers and have to get new friends and then meet new teachers and then have to start my whole life again. On the first day of school, I was nervous and really scared, and I came late, which is really embarrassing. And my mom was there, and she was taking pictures of me, which made me more embarrassed. And I was really nervous, and I was about to start crying. And then I remember Mrs. McKay came up to me, and she gave me a really big hug and a nice smile, and she welcomed me to the school, and she just allowed me into her community, into her class, without even knowing me. My 5 truths about St. John's is: make close friends, St. John matures you as both a person and a student, don't procrastinate, lack of sleep can affect your grades, and ask questions and get extra help. My first truth is make close friends. This truth is kind of personal to me because my friends help me through a lot. My friends are like the best people in the world to me. If you don't have a close friend to go to, your life will basically be a mess, because my friends help me when I need someone to go talk to, or when I just need advice. And if you don't have someone to go to for advice, all your stress and sadness will start to build up, and you'll just be a complete mess. My second truth is St. John matures you as both a person and a student. Before I came to St. John's, I didn't really know how to organize my things correctly or schedule plans correctly or anything. And so once I came to St. John's, I started to see how to organize my locker better and my things better. And when I got with her Gabby, we started organizing like out of school plans together and scheduling everything together. My third truth is don't procrastinate. 86% of high school students said that they procrastinate on assignments. In college, that number goes up slightly to 88%. When I first started to come to middle school, I didn't really think I was going to start procrastinating, and I thought I'd be on top of my things. But then I saw that the cycle started like going on, and I started procrastinating. And it can simply start when a teacher assigns a project in like 5 weeks, and so you start blowing it off and keep blowing it off because it's not due yet, until you realize that it's 3 days till the project is due and you haven't bought your materials. And so once you buy your materials and you start to do your project, you don't even have that much time, so your project turns out being really bad and you get a bad grade on it. Lack of sleep can affect your grades. Teenagers need at least 8 hours of sleep, says Nationwide Children's Hospital. Personally, I don't pull all-nighters during the weekday, but I know someone who does, and their routine isn't really that good because they pull an all-nighter and then go to school and they're really tired and they need sleep and they're basically like dozing off in class. And then they get home and they take a nap because they've been tired. They wake up, eat dinner, and then pull another all-nighter to do homework, and then the cycle keeps going. And since you're tired and you go to school, you won't really pay attention to what the teachers say in class. And so if they assign homework or they say something in class that has to do with the homework, you won't really hear it because you're basically about to go to sleep. And so you'll do really bad in the homework. My fifth truth is ask questions and get extra help. Raising your hand in class can be kind of scary for some people. And so if you go to extra help, it'll be like one-on-one time with you and the teacher, so you can ask all the questions that you need. You can talk to them about anything, and so they'll help you improve your grade if you're slacking in that class. And the teacher will help, and you'll show that you'll show that you care about your grades and that you want your grades to improve, and that you don't just like want to fail and that you want you to. These are my 5 truths about St. John's, and yeah, thank you.